Matt Unruh once again here with Phil Stephenson, the head baseball coach for the Dodge City Conchs. And, well, we keep on going. First time since 2007, making it to Wichita. A nice sweep of Labette. It was an interesting sweep, especially in game one when you got kind of more of a football score than baseball score, 14-11 win. Let's talk game one to begin things.
Well, I think the biggest surprise for us was Luke Crabb's lack of control. That's the first time that's happened to him this year. You know, like, how do you get upset at a guy that has his first bad outing of the year? Mm-hmm. But he wasn't sharp, and he battled for 5 innings plus, and you know, he was able to put up a couple of 3 zeros on the board, even though he didn't have his best stuff, wasn't throwing well, wasn't sharp. You know, he had the one bad inning where he gave up a 6 spot, but our guys just kept battling. We just kept scoring. I kept telling our guys they don't have anybody that can stop us, you know. And it was a day where we haven't had many like that this year. We have in some past years, but wind blowing out, temperature in the 80s, mm-hmm. and very light air. And you know, it made for a very offensive day all the way around. And I got to give Labette a lot of credit because they swung the bats pretty well. You know, we walked too many of them, which didn't help. But the bottom line was that they kept swinging the bats too. And every time that we'd fall behind, we'd start working our way back. And you know, we got up early, 3-0, and we fell behind 6-3. Got a run back, gave up 1, got back to taking the lead at 8-7, then gave up 4 spot, put us down 11-8, and then we turned right back around and tied again in the bottom of the 7th. And that was when Jordan Doan hit the 3-run homer that
didn't seem like it was going to go out. And then
on a normal day, it's a routine fly ball.
Yep.
But you know, it happened. That just turned out to be a huge break for us. Ties the game. And then we come out and they misplay a ball in center field.
They did a lot of that in game one.
You know, who knows? I don't know how used they are to playing in that type of wind. We've seen it plenty of times, but you know, guy misplays the ball in center field, and then we end up, you know, putting some base hits together behind it and score 3 runs, take a 3-run lead, and then Matt Perea came in the 8th in relief of Lane Downing and was able to shut the door, and you know, gave up a couple of hits there in the 9th and got the tying run to the plate. But in that type of game, that shouldn't surprise anybody at that point. So, you know, we kept finding ways when we needed to, it seemed like, to put up a 0. And, you know, that's a credit to our defense, pitching staff, you know, battled on a tough day to pitch. And then our offense just never shut down. You know, we scored in every inning of game 1, all 8 innings, and win that first game 14-11. And then we come out and score 5 of the 7 innings in game 2. And, you know, when they finally kept us from scoring in the second inning of game 2, I'd heard their coach saying, boy, it's about time. Good grief. You know, because we'd scored for 9 straight innings before they finally put up a 0. Yeah. But they just, and then we turn around in the 3rd inning of game 2 and put up a 10 spot.
Something about that 3rd inning on Saturday.
Yeah.
Both games. 6 runs for Labette in the 3rd in game 1, 10. Didn't even have enough digits on the scoreboard.
Nope, unfortunately not. Doesn't happen very often in baseball that you double digit in 1 inning. But, you know, that's just a tribute to our guys offensively that we just kept battling. And they knew that we were going to keep scoring. It was just a matter of continuing to try to stay the course. Russ wasn't very sharp in game 2, Russ Mithlow. He had a lot of balls up, was not commanding his breaking stuff and his changeup early. They got to him for a few runs early, and then I thought he kind of found a groove for a couple of innings, but you know, it was only for 2 innings. It was in the 3rd and in the 5th, and he gave up a 4 spot. And after we scored the 10, he turned around and gives up 3 in the top of the 4th, and you know, just it was that type of day. You know, sometimes, you know, we've had great pitch games and we've not been able to score, and we've been on the short end of some of those, and fortunately have been on the positive end of quite a few of those. But in a day where it was a tough day to pitch and our guys struggled, our offense really came to life, and our defense, which has been there most of the year consistently, we make 1 error in 2 games. I'm pretty happy with that. I thought our guys really really stayed together and never lost sight of what things they were capable of doing on a day like that. And then, you know, finally at the end, we were able to push over enough runs to create the run rule in game 2 and end the thing.
Yeah, and a game where you get a 10-run rule after 7, it was almost a relief just because of how both teams were scoring, where even a 10-run lead at times didn't feel safe with how the offenses were working.
Well, I won't necessarily disagree with you on that. I mean, I was sitting there, we were talking about it going out. It's 16-9, and I'm thinking, well, if we can get the right guy to the plate, maybe we can kick a field goal to end this thing at this point. You know, and Jordan Doan was able to get on base to start the inning, and then I put on hit and run with Ricky, and he, you know, got a ball on a liner in the gap in left center, and that scored Jordan. And then, you know, Hayden Simmons, we call him Gene, but he had a rough day in game 1, but he came out in game 2 and was able to get a couple of hits and got a big triple there to get the run to end it to third base with nobody out. And of course, Jordan Fields got a single through the drawn-in infield, and that ended it. So, you know, it was a big day for him. He had 2 home runs. We had 8 home runs on the day. There were 14 hit total for the day. You know, I know Cavalier Fields sometimes can be like an airport, but I haven't seen one like that in quite a long time.
Yeah, and you got guys that don't typically hit it out. Balsamo, Valley hitting in the 1-2 spots, going back-to-back, I believe, in game 2. I mean, it's got to be a nice confidence boost, at least, for the offense to have a day like that right before going to Wichita.
Well, you hope. And you know, in Wichita, you don't know what they've changed the configuration of the ballpark, you know, about 7 or 8 years ago, and it's changed how things go there. I mean, it used to be a place that was a great hitter's park. It's still with turf because it's turf the entire field, but there are times now that the ball just doesn't seem to carry like it used to, and the air's a little bit heavier than it is out here. You know, of course, the ballpark sits right there on the river, and so it'll be a little bit different. I don't think the ball will carry as much, obviously, as it does here at times. And I think it's kind of a good fit for our team. You know, we hit a lot of line drives, hit a lot of hard ground balls. We're not normally a big home run hitting team, so you know, the biggest thing is that I think if our guys come out and do what we're capable of doing, and then of course what we saw the entire weekend from the East, it seems like all of their teams are pretty good offensively, even seeing Labette here, and what Highland, who was the 8th seed, did over at Seward. We're going to have our hands full. They're going to be a competitive group. You know, 3 teams from the West got in, 5 from the East, and I think it bodes well that you know, our strength is still pitching. I don't think there's any question about that, pitching and defense. And if we come out and pitch the way we're capable of pitching, which I've seen most of the year, you know, I think we have the capability of being able to slow some offensive down that have happened to, you know, been coming through on the East, and take our chances. And you know, it'll be an interesting battle, I think, in all the first round games that are coming up on Friday when we play at Lawrence Dumont in Wichita.
Yeah, and Conks set to play at 4 o'clock, game number 3 on Friday. Conks versus Neosho, a little different format than, well, what we've seen during the year, what we've seen for regionals. It's double elimination, but you're playing a different team every day.
Yes, we should be, unless you get to the last day or two. You know, you could see somebody you've seen before, but at least through the first 3 games, if you get that far, you're going to see somebody different all, you know, through there. And you know, you stay in a winner's bracket, it's 1 game a day, and Friday and Saturday will be 1 game. And if you get past that, if you're in a loser's bracket, you're going to end up playing 2 games a day to try to win the thing. And that's tough on pitching staffs to fall into that and be able to have enough people to be able to do it. But, you know, we've shown that we've got 4 guys, I think, that can win a game on any given day, with Crabb and Mithlow and Riddell and Downing. And, you know, if our guys are on and we're playing defense behind them, I like our chances where that is. Now, if we end up some offensive battles with people, you know, it bode well this weekend, but I don't really want to get into those if we can help it. from that situation. But you know, our deal will just be it's one game at a time, like it has been all the way through. We'll sit down and when we get some information on Neosho, we'll go over it. We won't change our game plan any of what we do. We still got to be us and do the things that have gotten us to where we are right now. And you know, make adjustments within the game if you need to, but we can't go in with any type of an idea of this is what we've got to do to beat Neosho, and we've got to change this, we got to change that. No, we just got to be us. And if we're, you know, we weren't us on Saturday, at least not on the mound like we have been. So the offense rose to the occasion. I think if we get back to being very competitive on the mound and keeping them, you know, low to mid-range type games, I certainly like our chances to do well.
Now I'm guessing we've got Luke Crabb for game number 1 in Wichita against Neosho on Friday, and kind of the same rotation that we saw.
Don't know yet. Don't know yet. That'll kind of be determined, we think, upon who we play in game 2. And what needs to kind of be adjusted from there. The only guy that didn't pitch that because he was going to be our game 3 starter Sunday was Andrew Riddell, and probably the decision is going to be whether or not we decide to throw him in game 2 or we decide to throw him in game 3, with game 3 not being a certainty, obviously, in a double elimination tournament. So we'll sit down and kind of examine who we're going to see, who we're going to play, make a determination who's going to be game 2 starter, and then game 3 from there, and just kind of move forward. And it's you know, you can't hold anybody back. You've got to do everything you can to try to win, stay in a winner's bracket, or if you get in a loser's bracket, everything you can to stay alive. So, you know, there's always a possibility that we might have to use somebody in a relief role that maybe has been a starter and then move somebody else into that starting role if that's what it takes to stay alive and keep moving on.
Well, Andrew Riddell, mentioned him coming off Pitcher of the Week last week after a 3-hit bid against Pratt. And any plans this week to try to get some of the guys some work that didn't pitch at all this past week? Well,
I think we'll probably, instead of looking at inter-squadding or anything like that, I think we'll just throw bullpens, let our guys get the work that they need to get in. You know, things will kind of be dictated. It looks like there's going to be some interesting weather in the area for the next 3 or 4 days. So, but we leave Thursday morning to head out and head to Wichita. We have a practice time scheduled at 11 o'clock at Lawrence Dumont. And then, of course, game time is 4 p.m. on Friday against Neosho. And, you know, we'll just, like I said, we'll go about our weekly routine of what we do. We're going to, like I said, we're going to skip the inter-squad game in the middle of the week that we would play normally if, and I think mainly due to that is the fact that we just want to, we don't take any risk of maybe something nutty happening, get somebody hurt, but we'll still make sure we get plenty of swings, get our guys the work they need on the mound, get our defensive work in. You know, right now it's just repetitions and good repetitions, and if we continue to do that, I'm sure we'll be ready to play, and you know, we'll try to put our best foot out there and hope it's good enough to be able to win and keep moving on throughout the weekend.
Matt Under with Phil Stephenson, head baseball coach for DC3 Conks, as they are headed to Wichita for the first time since 2007. We'll be facing off with Neosho on Friday at 4 o'clock, and what's the matchups look like after that?
Well, Cali and Butler are the other game in our half of the bracket. So win or lose, we'll play one of those 2 teams. On the other side, Seward has a first-round game, I believe, with Coffeyville, and I believe the other bracket then is Johnson and Fort Scott on the other game, first-round game. So they're on the other side of the bracket. And then, like I said, after day 2, you know, when you lose, you'll get flip-flopped somewhere so that you don't play somebody you've already played, and then after, like I said, the 3rd day, or after the 3rd games, you could see somebody possibly, just depending upon how it all rolls out, of who might be there to play. You know, I'm not going to worry about any of that. You know, we'll try to sit down and try to catch some of the games and do some of that stuff. Obviously, we know Seward and we know Butler. So we'll try to get in and see some of the other games, you know, as best we can and get our own kind of feel for what we're going to see. But, you know, we're working on getting scouting reports that we can get on everybody that's going to be in the tournament and have as much information as we can. And have it with us. Kind of, sometimes it adjusts. It's nice to get some information. If if a guy is a dead pull hitter, hits a lot of balls the opposite field, those sort of things, you can adjust your defenders to try to help defend that based upon what our guy's strength is on the mound. And we've had pretty good luck with that, I think. Like I said, we've been pretty good defensively, and we've been able to adjust some guys here and there and get them in the right spot to be able to make a play. And we'll try to have as much information as we can, but the bottom line is you kind of go as the game dictates based upon your information, what you're seeing out of your pitcher, what you're seeing of what guys are doing with that type of guy, if you need to adjust somebody here and there and move with it. But I'm just looking forward to it. It's been a while since we've been there, and it'll be fun. I'm sure I'll have quite a few people that I know. Having lived in Wichita for 27 years, I should have quite a few people who will come out to the games just to at least say hello, see what type of team we have, that sort of thing. And I'm excited about it. We won't change anything. We'll be us and go play. But it's a fun time for our guys, and they should enjoy every minute of the moment.
And I'm guessing staying in Wichita the entire time you're over there?
That's the plan.
Okay.
I'm not planning on doing any traveling back and forth. The only time that we'll make a trip back to Dodge is when it's over.
So ball players, the kids are going to have to balance with classes with finals coming up next week, but a good problem to have, right?
Yeah, good problem to have, and hopefully I'll be getting some information out to teachers, and our players will be visiting with the teachers and talking about the scenarios that could come about and what they can do to try to work around it and what have you. And remind them, make sure they take their books on the road, because there a possibility exists that we could be there all the way through Tuesday night and miss the first couple days of finals, which puts a little bit of stress on our guys from an academic standpoint. But that's a good problem to have from a baseball standpoint, to be in this situation, and we'll work around it. And as usual, our teachers here on this campus have been very good about working with our guys when we miss class and being able to make some adjustments, and I'm sure that all that will be no problem again as we get to the end of this week and possibly the first of next week.
Well, it's good to have the community buzzing about Dodge City Conch baseball once again after about a 7-8 year hiatus from being in Wichita. And
well, except for the 2 years that we were Division II, we spent 2 years as a Division II team and battled with Longview out of Missouri and Western Oklahoma out of Oklahoma. The second year that we were a D2, we took Western Oklahoma to the final inning, and we weren't able to get the hit we needed to win the ball game. And both of those years we played them, they won a D2 national championship, and they finished second. So it was a pretty good region that we had to play in.
What years was that?
That would have been let's see, it would have been 11 and 12. And I think it was also a good move for our program. So I think it kind of changed perception a little bit. We showed that we could compete not only in our league, but we were also going to compete with people who were perennial powers at any JUCO level. And I think it's kind of helped us kind of maybe get a little bit over the hump and be able to convince better players that this is not such a bad place to be. It's a pretty good school, and it's a pretty good baseball program, and we're hoping we're going to be able to continue to move onward and upward. There's always possible bumps in the road. There's always issues that can come up with injuries and different things like that, but the bottom line is continuing to find the best players we can find and get them here, and guys that not only want to become better baseball players, they want to win, and they also want to further their education, and this is a great place to do that.
Absolutely. And don't forget, folks, this being filmed on May the 4th, but first pitch on Friday in Wichita at Lawrence Dumont Stadium at 4 o'clock. Conchs versus Neosho for Game 1. The guaranteed a second game, so they will play Saturday as well, either versus, was it Cali or Hutch?
Cali or Butler.
Cali or Butler.
Hutch won't be there this time. So, and if we win, we play the 7 o'clock game on Saturday night. If we lose, we play the 1 o'clock game on Saturday afternoon.
So make your plans. Come on out and support the Conchs Friday and Saturday. We'll get information out somehow to everyone about live stream video, live stream audio. We're going to try to get it on the air as well on 1550 AM The Sports Hound, conchsports.com too. So be listening on the air for updates on what our plans are on the AM side here locally. But Phil, going to be a fun weekend, and maybe further into the beginning of next week as well, hopefully.
Well, we certainly hope so, and I want to tell people that have been coming out to support us, thank you, and you know, it means a lot to the guys to have people in the stands who want to come out, and you know, we've had people in the stands, down the left field line, down the right field line, and you know, hopefully they enjoyed what they saw, and if they have the opportunity and want to come to Wichita, I think they'll see some pretty good baseball.
Should be a fun atmosphere in Wichita again. Conks 4 o'clock start time on Friday, 7 o'clock if they win Saturday, 1 o'clock if they lose in the consolation side of things on Saturday. But again, it's double elimination, so even if with a loss Friday, Conks still have a shot at making it to the championship series on Monday, Tuesday. So for Phil Stephenson, I'm Matt Unruh, and thanks for watching, and go Conks.